Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build brick by brick, morning by morning, in the quiet hours when nobody is clapping for you. And the reason most people never build it is because they're waiting to feel ready. Let me tell you something you already know deep down. Readiness is a lie. If you wait until you feel disciplined to act disciplined, you'll wait your entire life. The strong ones don't feel more ready than you. They simply stopped waiting. Think about what it's actually costing you to stay the way you are. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. Every promise you break to yourself is a small withdrawal from the account of your own self-respect. And most people don't notice the balance dropping until one day they look up and realize they no longer trust themselves. They set an alarm and hit snooze. They say they'll start Monday. They tell themselves this is the week, this is the month, this is the year, and nothing moves. The saddest part isn't the failure. The saddest part is that they slowly stop believing they're capable of anything else. That's the real price of a broken discipline, not the missed goals, but the quiet erosion of who you believe you can become. So let me give you a way to see this that might change everything. I want you to imagine your discipline as a bridge. Not a wall, not a cage, not a punishment. A bridge. On one side stands the person you are today, with all your excuses and comfort and half-finished dreams. On the other side stands the person you're capable of becoming. And discipline is every single plank you lay across that gap. One plank won't get you across, neither will 10. But plank after plank, day after day, a bridge appears where there used to be nothing but distance. Most people stare at the far side and wish. The disciplined ones just keep laying planks. Keep that bridge in your mind, because we're going to build it together, one point at a time. 1. Stop trusting your feelings to carry you. Here's a struggle you know better than anyone. You wake up with the best intentions. Last night you planned the whole day, the workout, the reading, the work you've been avoiding. And then morning comes, and your body feels heavy, and your mind whispers, not today. You're tired. Start tomorrow. And you listen. You almost always listen. Because somewhere along the way you were taught that action comes after motivation. That first you feel like doing something, and then you do it. This single belief has destroyed more dreams than laziness ever could. Let me tell you about a man I once knew who spent years trying to get in shape. Every January he'd buy the gym membership. Every January he'd feel the fire. And every February that fire would die, and he'd quit, and he'd hate himself a little more. One year something shifted. He stopped asking himself whether he felt like going. He decided in advance that his feelings simply didn't get a vote before 6 a.m. He'd put his shoes by the bed the night before, and the moment the alarm rang, he moved before his mind could argue. Not because he was more motivated than you, because he stopped negotiating. 2 years later, people called him disciplined, dedicated, driven. But all he'd really done was fire his feelings from the decision-making seat. This is where most people fail. They treat motivation like fuel, and they're right, but they misunderstand the timing. Motivation is not the thing that gets you started. Motivation is the thing that shows up after you've already begun. You felt it yourself. You dread the workout, but 10 minutes in, you're glad you came. You avoid the hard task, but once you start, the resistance melts. Action creates the feeling. The feeling does not create the action. And people who wait for the feeling wait forever, because the feeling was always hiding on the other side of the first step. So here's what you do today, and it's simple enough to start within the hour. Pick one thing, just one, that you've been putting off because you don't feel like it. Then shrink it so small it's almost embarrassing. Not work out for an hour. Just put on the shoes. Not write the book. Just open the document and write one sentence. Not clean the house. Just clear one surface. You're not trying to finish. You're trying to prove to your own brain that you move regardless of mood. Because the moment you start, momentum takes over, and momentum is a force your feelings can't argue with. Do this enough times and something begins to change beneath the surface. You stop seeing yourself as someone who acts when inspired. You start seeing yourself as someone who simply acts. Feelings become weather, passing, changeable, never in charge. Discipline becomes the ground you stand on. Motivation gets you moving. Discipline keeps you moving. And once you separate the two, you'll never again be a prisoner of your own mood. But here's what almost nobody realizes about this new self-image you're building, and it's the very reason so many people relapse right after they start. 2. Build proof, not promises. You've made the promise before. This time I'll stick with it. You said it with your whole heart, meant every word, and then watched yourself break it within days. And each time you break it, something quiet and corrosive happens. You lose a little faith in your own word. The next promise means slightly less, and the one after that even less. Until eventually you make promises to yourself the way you'd make small talk with a stranger, politely, and without any real expectation of follow-through. Let me show you why this happens. Because it's not a character flaw. It's a math problem. Self-confidence is not built by affirmations in the mirror. It's not built by hype videos or inspiring quotes. Self-confidence is built by evidence, by a stack of moments where you told yourself you'd do something and then you actually did it. Your brain is quietly keeping score. Every kept promise is a deposit that says, I can trust this person. Every broken promise is a withdrawal that says, this person's word means nothing. Most people are running a deficit. They've broken so many small agreements with themselves that they no longer believe their own commitments, and then they wonder why they can't stay disciplined. I think of a woman who wanted to change her life but felt paralyzed. Because she'd failed so many times she'd stopped believing she could succeed at anything. Someone gave her advice that sounded almost too small to matter. They told her to stop making big promises entirely. Instead, make one tiny promise each day and keep it no matter what. Drink a glass of water first thing. Make the bed. Walk to the end of the street and back. That's it. She thought it was pointless, but she did it. And after 2 weeks of keeping impossibly small promises, something unexpected happened. She started to believe herself again. The tiny wins weren't about the water or the bed. They were about rebuilding trust with the one person she'd been letting down for years, herself. Here's why most people fail at this. They try to rebuild trust with a massive commitment, the way you try to repay a debt with one enormous payment you can't actually afford. They promise to overhaul everything at once, and when they inevitably fall short, the failure confirms the very belief they were trying to escape. See? I can't trust myself. The debt grows deeper. But trust isn't rebuilt in giant gestures. It's rebuilt in small, repeated, boring reliability. So today, make one promise so small you cannot fail at it. Something you're 99% sure you can do. Then do it, and consciously notice that you did. That noticing matters. Say it to yourself. I said I would, and I did. That sentence, repeated across enough days, rewires how you see yourself. Small promise, kept. Small promise, kept. Each one a brick. Each one a plank in the bridge. Because here's the truth that separates the discipline from the dreaming. Discipline isn't about doing hard things once. It's about becoming someone whose word to themselves actually means something. Promises break you. Proof builds you. And once you've built enough proof, you'll be ready for the thing that breaks most people the moment life gets hard, the trap of relying on the wrong kind of strength. 3. Anchor yourself in principles, not moods. Let me describe a day you've lived 100 times. You start strong. You're focused. You're on track, you feel unstoppable. And then something happens, a stressful call, bad news, an argument, exhaustion. Your mood collapses. And the moment your mood collapses, your discipline collapses with it. The healthy eating goes out the window. The routine falls apart. You tell yourself you'll get back on track when you feel better. But better doesn't come on schedule, and by then the whole system has crumbled. This is the fatal weakness of discipline built on emotion. It's only as strong as your best day, and your best day never lasts. Picture a ship in the open ocean. When the water is calm, any ship stays roughly where it should. But storms come, waves rise, the wind pushes hard in every direction. What keeps a ship from being dragged wherever the weather wants to take it? An anchor. And principles are the anchors of a disciplined life. A principle is a decision you've made in advance, before the storm arrived, so that when your emotions are screaming you don't have to decide anything, you just obey the principle you already set. I don't eat that after 8 p.m. I train on Monday, Wednesday, Friday no matter what. I don't check my phone until the important work is done. These aren't moods, they're anchors. And anchors don't ask how you feel. I once heard about a writer who produced an enormous body of work over decades, and people assumed he was bursting with inspiration every single day. When asked his secret, he said something that surprised everyone. He wrote whether he felt inspired or not. He sat down at the same time each morning and wrote for the same number of hours, treating it like a job he couldn't skip rather than a passion he had to feel. On the days inspiration came, wonderful. On the days it didn't, he wrote anyway, and often couldn't tell the difference later between the inspired pages and the disciplined ones. His principle carried him through every mood his emotions threw at him. Here's why most people fail. They make their commitments dependent on internal weather. I'll do it when I feel motivated, when I'm not stressed, when things settle down. But things never fully settle down. Life is mostly storms with occasional calm, not calm with occasional storms. If your discipline requires good weather, your discipline will spend most of its life shipwrecked. The disciplined person doesn't wait for calm seas. They lower an anchor and hold. So today, take one area where you keep collapsing whenever your mood dips, and turn it into a principle. Make it specific. Make it non-negotiable. Write it down as a rule, not a wish. When X happens, I do Y regardless of how I feel. Then the next time the storm rolls in, you won't be deciding in the middle of the chaos. You'll simply follow the anchor you dropped in advance. Moods change hourly. Principles hold for years. Feelings are the weather. Principles are the anchor. And once your discipline stops depending on your emotions, you'll be able to face the one enemy that has quietly sabotaged more disciplined people than laziness, distraction, and failure combined. For make it so small it's impossible to skip. You've done this before, and it's probably why you're reading this now. You got excited. You decided to transform your life, and you designed a plan so ambitious it would have challenged a professional athlete. Wake at 5, work out for 90 minutes, read 50 pages, eat perfectly, meditate, journal, and conquer the world, all starting Monday. And for 2 or 3 days, you actually did it. And then real life happened. You missed one day, and the entire cathedral of discipline you'd built came crashing down in a single afternoon. You didn't fail because you were weak. You failed because you built something too heavy to carry. Here's the struggle nobody warns you about. The bigger the commitment, the more willpower it demands, and willpower is a limited resource that runs out exactly when you need it most, at the end of a long, stressful, draining day. So you design a routine that requires you to be at your best, and then you try to run it on the days you're at your worst. It's like designing a car that only runs on perfect roads and then driving it through a country full of potholes. Of course it breaks. It was never built for reality. I think of a man who wanted to become a reader but hadn't finished a book in years. His first instinct was to commit to a book a week. Ambitious, inspiring, doomed. A friend gave him strange advice. Commit to reading 1 page a day. Just one. He laughed. 1 page was nothing. But that was exactly the point. 1 page was so small he could never justify skipping it. Too tired? It's 1 page. No time? It's 1 page. And here's what happened. Almost every night, once he'd read the 1 page he'd promised, he kept going, because starting was the only hard part. Some nights he read 1 page. Some nights 30. But he never broke the chain, because the bar was low enough to clear on his very worst day. A year later he'd read more books than he had in the previous decade. This is where most people go wrong. They confuse the size of the goal with the size of the daily action. They think a big dream requires a big daily effort, so they overload the beginning and burn out before habit takes hold. But discipline isn't built by intensity. It's built by consistency, and consistency requires a bar low enough that you never have a good excuse to miss it. A small action done every day beats a heroic action done twice and abandoned. So today, take whatever you're trying to build and shrink it to something almost laughable. If you want to exercise, commit to 2 minutes. If you want to write, commit to 1 sentence. If you want to meditate, commit to 3 breaths. Make it so small that skipping it would feel more ridiculous than doing it. The goal right now is not results. The goal is to never break the chain, because a chain unbroken becomes an identity. And identity is where discipline finally becomes permanent. Start small, stay unbroken. Big dreams need small anchors. And that word identity is the secret that transforms discipline from something you force into something you simply are, which is exactly where we're headed next. 5. Become the kind of person who does this. Let me point out something you do without realizing it. Every action you take is quietly filtered through a single question. Is this who I am? A person who believes they're messy doesn't have to try to leave clothes on the floor, it just happens, because it matches their self-image. A person who believes they're organized doesn't have to force themselves to tidy up, it feels wrong not to. Your behavior is not really controlled by your goals. It's controlled by your identity. And this is why most attempts at discipline fail. People try to change their actions while keeping the same story about who they are. Here's the struggle. You say, I want to work out. But underneath you still believe, I'm not a fit person, I'm not athletic, I've always been lazy. And so every workout becomes a battle against your own self-image, a constant swim against the current of who you think you are. You might win that battle for a week through sheer effort, but identity always wins in the long run. You drift back to whatever matches the story you tell yourself about yourself. The problem was never your willpower. The problem was that you were trying to act like a disciplined person while still believing you were an undisciplined one. I remember hearing about a man trying to quit smoking. He tried the patches, the gum, the apps, and nothing lasted. Because every time someone offered him a cigarette he'd say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. And in that sentence he was still a smoker who was trying not to smoke, fighting his own nature. Then he changed one word. When offered a cigarette, he began to say, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. Not trying to quit, not a smoker. He'd stopped fighting his identity and started claiming a new one. And slowly the actions followed the identity, because they finally matched. He wasn't resisting himself anymore. He'd become someone new. And the new person simply didn't smoke. This is the shift almost everyone misses. They focus on what they want to achieve instead of who they want to become. But goals are temporary and identity is permanent. If you lose the weight but still see yourself as an unhealthy person, you'll gain it back. If you make the money but still see yourself as someone who's bad with money, you'll lose it. The outer result can't outrun the inner identity for long. Real, lasting discipline isn't about forcing new behavior. It's about becoming the kind of person for whom that behavior is natural. So today, start speaking about yourself differently, and mean it. Stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, and start saying, I'm a disciplined person. Stop saying, I'm trying to eat healthy, and say, I'm someone who takes care of my body. It will feel like a lie at first. That's fine. You're not describing who you've been. You're declaring who you're becoming. And then let every small action be a vote for that identity. Every kept promise, every early morning, every unbroken chain is you casting a ballot for the person you're building. Don't chase the goal. Become the person. Actions follow identity. Identity follows the story you tell. And here's the question that will haunt you if you let it. What happens on the day you do everything right, and life still knocks you flat? Because that day is coming, and how you handle it will decide whether your discipline survives or shatters. 6. Fall in love with the boring middle. Let me tell you where nearly everyone quits. It's not at the start is easy, the start is exciting, the start has energy. And it's not at the finish, nobody quits when they can see the finish line. People quit in the middle. That long, gray, unglamorous stretch where the novelty has worn off. The the results haven't arrived yet, and every day looks exactly like the last one. This is the valley of discipline, and it's littered with the abandoned dreams of people who could handle the excitement of beginning but couldn't handle the boredom of continuing. You know this feeling. The first week of anything is thrilling. You can feel yourself changing, but by week 3, the shine is gone. You've done the workout enough times that it's no longer novel. You've eaten well enough that it no longer feels virtuous. And the scale, the mirror, the bank account, they haven't caught up yet. So a voice starts whispering, "Is this even working? Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you should try something else." And most people listen to that voice, and they quit right at the moment when quitting is most tragic, because the results were forming underground, invisible, just weeks away from breaking the surface. Think about bamboo, because its story is your story. You plant the seed, you water it, and for a long time nothing appears above the ground. Weeks pass, months pass. To anyone watching, it looks like failure, like nothing is happening, like you're wasting your effort on dead soil. And then, seemingly overnight, the bamboo shoots upward with astonishing speed, taller in weeks than you'd have believed possible. But it didn't grow overnight. All that time it looked like nothing was happening. It was building an enormous root system underground, strong enough to support the explosive growth that was coming. The visible growth was fast. The invisible growth took forever. And the people who quit bamboo in month 2 never find out how close they were. Here's why most people fail in the middle. They expect progress to be linear, a little effort, a little reward, steadily climbing. But real growth isn't linear. It's a flat line for a long time, and then a sudden jump. The reward for consistency arrives all at once, after a long delay, which means the middle always feels like it isn't working right up until the moment it obviously is. If you judge your progress by how you feel in the middle, you'll always quit. The middle is designed to feel pointless. That's the test. So today, make peace with boredom. Decide in advance that the flat, unexciting stretch is not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're exactly where the quitters disappear, which means you're precisely where you need to stay. When the voice says, "This isn't working," answer it. The roots are growing where I can't see them. Fall in love not with the highlight but with the repetition. The discipline don't need constant results to keep going. Excitement fades, discipline stays. Roots grow in the dark. And the ability to keep watering ground that shows no visible growth, that is the exact skill that will carry you through the failure that's coming for you next. 7. Let failure become information, not identity. You're going to break the chain. I need you to hear that plainly, because the fantasy that you'll be perfect is the very thing that will destroy you. You'll miss a day. You'll skip the workout. You'll eat the thing, break the routine, fall off the wagon. It's not a possibility, it's a certainty. And the moment it happens is the moment that decides everything, not the slip itself. What you do in the 10 seconds after the slip. That's where discipline is truly won or lost. Here's the struggle that ruins people. They don't fail once, they fail twice. And the second failure is the one that matters. The first failure is missing the day. The second failure is the story they tell about it. I knew I couldn't do this. I always quit. I ruined it. Might as well give up entirely now. One missed workout becomes a missed week, because in their mind the broken chain proved they were never really disciplined at all. They ate one bad meal, so they abandoned the whole diet. They missed one morning, so they scrapped the entire routine. The slip didn't end it. The story about the slip ended it. Watch a baby learning to walk, because this is the wisdom we all had and most of us lost. A baby falls constantly, dozens, hundreds of times. But have you ever seen a baby fall, look around embarrassed, and decide, well, walking clearly isn't for me. I'm just not a walker? Of course not. The baby falls, gets up, and tries again, treating each fall not as a verdict but as information, a little more data about balance, a little adjustment for next time. Failure isn't failure to a baby, it's feedback. And somewhere in growing up, we forgot this, and started treating a single stumble as proof of who we permanently are. This is where most people go wrong. They collapse the distance between an event and an identity. I failed quietly becomes I am a failure. But those are two completely different things, and the gap between them is where your entire future lives. Failure is something that happened. It is not something you are. A slip is an event with a beginning and an end. It only becomes your identity if you decide to move in and live there. The disciplined person and the undisciplined person both fall. The difference is that one gets up on the same day, and the other builds a home in the fall. So here's your rule, and it's the most important one I'll give you: never miss twice. Miss once, it's an accident, it's human, it's nothing. Miss twice, and you're starting a new pattern. If you skip today, the entire job of tomorrow is simply to show up again, no matter how small. Don't try to make up for the missed day. Don't punish yourself. Just return. The chain isn't broken by one missing link, it's broken by the decision to stop rebuilding it. Failure becomes feedback. The fall becomes the lesson. Miss once, never twice. And this ability to return without shame is powered by something deeper than willpower, something most people never build, which is exactly what we turn to now. 8. Protect the ritual, protect the environment. Let me expose a lie you've been told your whole life. You've been taught that discipline is about willpower, that disciplined people are simply gritting their teeth harder than you, resisting more temptation, fighting more urges through sheer force of character. That's not just wrong, it's the reason you keep losing. Because if discipline depends on outmuscling temptation all day long, you'll lose, every time, the moment you're tired or stressed or hungry. The most disciplined people you know aren't winning the fight against temptation. They've arranged their lives so the fight rarely happens at all. Here's the struggle you feel every single day. You come home exhausted, your willpower drained down to nothing by a hard day, and now you have to resist the junk food in the cupboard, ignore the phone glowing on the couch, and force yourself to do the hard thing instead of the easy one. And you lose, because you're trying to win the hardest battle at the exact moment you have the least strength to fight it. Then you blame yourself. You call yourself weak. But you weren't weak. You just put yourself in a losing position and expected raw willpower to save you. I think of someone who kept failing to eat well, no matter how much he wanted it. He believed his problem was a lack of self-control. Then someone pointed out something obvious he'd never seen. His kitchen was full of junk food, and every evening he was using willpower to resist food that was 3 steps away. The advice was simple. Stop fighting the food. Stop buying it. His discipline problem was really an environment problem. Once the junk wasn't in the house, there was no battle to lose at 10 p.m. He didn't become stronger. He became smarter. He stopped relying on willpower he didn't have and started shaping an environment that made the right choice the easy one. This is where most people fail. They try to build discipline through constant resistance, which means they're in a fight all day long and eventually they lose, because nobody has infinite willpower. But the disciplined don't resist temptation better, they encounter it less. They put the phone in another room instead of trusting themselves to ignore it. They lay out the workout clothes the night before so the morning has less friction. They build rituals so consistent that the behavior becomes automatic and no decision is required. Every decision you can turn into a ritual is a decision you no longer have to win. So today, look at where you keep losing, and change the environment instead of blaming yourself. If you can't stop scrolling, put the phone across the room. If you can't stop snacking, don't keep it in the house. If you can't get to the gym, lay everything out the night before so the path of least resistance leads there. Make the good behavior easy and the bad behavior hard. Design your surroundings so that being disciplined requires almost no discipline at all. Willpower is a battle. Environment is a strategy. Stop fighting temptation. Remove it. And once your days are designed to carry you, you're finally ready for the thing that keeps all of this alive long after motivation has died, the deepest anchor of them all. 9. Find a reason bigger than your comfort. Here at the end, I have to tell you the truth about everything we've built. The small habits, the rituals, the identity, the environment, all of it is powerful, but none of it will save you on the hardest days unless you have something underneath it all. Because there will come a day when every technique fails you. When you're too tired, too discouraged, too broken to care about chains or systems or streaks. And on that day, only one thing will get you off the floor. A reason to keep going that's bigger than your desire to quit. Technique gets you through ordinary days. Only purpose gets you through the impossible ones. You've felt the emptiness of discipline without purpose. You force yourself through a routine you don't really believe in, chasing a goal you set because you thought you should, and you wonder why it feels so hollow. Why you keep quitting things that are supposedly good for you. It's because willpower running on an empty reason burns out fast. I should exercise won't get you up on the dark morning when everything hurts. I want to be around and strong for my kids in 20 years might. The size of the discipline you can sustain is directly tied to the size of the reason underneath it. Consider a mother who wakes in the middle of the night, exhausted beyond words, to care for a crying child. She's running on no sleep, her body is begging for rest, and yet she gets up, again and again, night after night. Why? Where does that discipline come from when she has nothing left? It doesn't come from willpower or technique or a habit tracker. It comes from love, from a reason so large it makes her own comfort feel small by comparison. That's the secret hidden in plain sight. She's not more disciplined than you. She simply has a reason powerful enough that quitting isn't even on the table. When the why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. This is the piece most people never find. They try to build discipline on shallow reasons, looking good, impressing others, chasing a number, and shallow reasons produce shallow discipline that collapses the moment things get hard. But a deep reason, a real one connected to the people you love or the person you're determined to become or the pain you refuse to pass on to the next generation, that reason produces a discipline that doesn't break, because it isn't fighting your desires, it's fueled by something deeper than desire. When your comfort argues with your purpose, purpose has to win, and it only wins if it's bigger. So today, before you build another habit, find your real reason, not the surface one. Dig underneath it. Ask why you want this, and when you get an answer, ask why again, and keep asking until you hit something that makes your chest tighten, something that actually matters to you. Write it down. Put it where you'll see it on the hard mornings. Because on the days when technique fails and motivation is gone and every excuse sounds reasonable, that reason is the last thing standing between you and quitting. Comfort becomes small. Purpose becomes fuel. Find the why, and the discipline will hold. And that leads to the single truth beneath everything I've told you tonight. Here it is. The reason discipline breaks for most people is that they've been trying to force a person they don't believe they are to do things they don't have a deep reason to do, in an environment designed to defeat them, while expecting to feel ready first. Discipline that never breaks isn't built on willpower at all. It's built on identity, protected by environment, anchored by principle, and powered by purpose. You don't need more force, you need a better design. The disciplined aren't stronger than you. They simply stopped relying on strength and started relying on a system that carries them even when they're weak. So let me leave you with everything fast, so it stays with you. Stop waiting to feel ready. Action creates the feeling. Build proof, not promises, one kept word at a time. Anchor yourself in principles so your moods can't sink you. Make it so small you can't skip it. Become the person, don't just chase the goal. Fall in love with the boring middle where the roots grow. Let failure be feedback, and never miss twice. Protect your environment so being good is easy. And find a reason so big your comfort goes quiet. That's the whole bridge, plank by plank. Here's your one thing to do tonight. Pick a single, laughably small action. Attach it to a reason that actually matters. And do it tomorrow morning before your feelings get a vote. Just once, then again. That's it. That's the whole secret nobody wanted to tell you. Because the disciplined life you imagine is not waiting for a stronger version of the world. It's waiting for a stronger design of you. Your future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build, quietly, in the moments no one sees, one unbroken day at a time. So build it, starting now. Music.